There have been 42 men who have taken the presidential oath of office. What compelled me to write the book, Second Acts, was the whole notion of what do you do after you leave the most powerful office in the world? I'm delighted to be here. As George mentioned, I'm coming down from Toronto. I love this part of the world, and I left 32-degree temperatures, and I've come down to this, so please don't make me go back. Imagine this. 5 minutes ago, you were President of the United States. You're sitting at the Capitol building, watching the man who just took your job address the nation. The same nation that overwhelmingly voted you out of office and now gives you an approval rating of 34%. You haven't been to bed in over 50 hours as you've been frantically negotiating an end to the crisis that's crippled your presidency. Just several weeks back, you learned that the prosperous business that you labored to build earlier in your life has been driven into the ground by a blind trust, and you're now $1 million in debt. That's in addition to the $1 million in debt that you accrued in your failed re-election bid. You're going back to your hometown, population 630, to a home you haven't lived in 10 years. Your daughter wants nothing to do with small-town life, and you've enrolled her into a boarding school, making you empty nesters far earlier than you expected to be. You and your wife are entering into what you describe as an altogether unwanted life, and you have no idea what you're going to do next. Now imagine this. It's 22 years later, and you're awakened by a telephone call at 3:30 in the morning in that same house, in that same small town, to find out that you've just won the Nobel Peace Prize. And you've probably deduced that's the story of Jimmy Carter. But I think the most interesting part of the story comes in between his ignominious exit from the White House and his triumphant reception in Oslo when he won the Nobel Peace Prize. There have been 42 men who have taken the presidential oath of office. 34 have lived to realize a life after the presidency. And I think what compelled me to write the book, Second Acts, was the whole notion of what do you do after you leave the most powerful office in the world? Where do you go from there? And the answer to that question I found are as unique as the individuals who provide them. And in many cases provide clearer glimpses into their character than the more insular years that they spend in the Oval Office. The other thing that compelled me was that you see a clear evolution in the post-presidency. Former presidents, like Americans, are living longer and remaining more active into their retirement. And our presidents are using their post-White House years to burnish their legacies, to do things that will enhance the view of them in history. And so I thought what I'd do today is I'd just give you a brief glimpse of all of the presidents that I've covered in Second Acts, Presidents Truman through Clinton, and then take any questions you have about their lives or about the post-presidency in general. And I'll start with Harry Truman, who left Washington, D.C. very much alone. He had a dismal approval rating of 31% upon leaving office, which is the lowest in modern history, with the exception of Richard Nixon, who left under far different and darker circumstances. But we think of the phrase, the buck stops here with Harry Truman. Well, in fact, the buck stopped as well, insofar as President Truman did not receive any sort of emoluments from the government, including a presidential pension. He received no office space, no franking privileges. He had no Secret Service detail. When he and Bess Truman got on the train to go back to Independence, Missouri to start their post-presidential life, they were very, very much alone.